The presenting sponsor of Upmarket is Aereo, the best place to grow and manage your real estate media business online at aereo.com. That's ARYEO.com. Coming to you from the Upmarket studio at Gasworks in beautiful San Buenaventura, California, this is Upmarket, a podcast about the business of real estate photography and media. My name is Reed Fish. I'm the CEO and a co-founder of Upmarket Media, and Mark Corcoran, the other co-founder.
COO.
The coo.
Yeah.
Coo. We're always cooing. Mark, I'm glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Oh, good. Chelsea, unfortunately, is adminning from Ojai this morning and can't be here, but that's okay. And you know, Mark, I just want to say right now, real quick, PMRE's coming.
Oh, shoot.
So you can, there's still tickets available. You can still go to PMREconference.com, use the code Upmarket100, and you are going to get $100 off your registration. There's still hotel availability. There's still all this. You can still come. It is not too late. It's November 13th through 15th at the Palms in Las Vegas.
Tickets are getting tight, though. I've been seeing the countdown. It's like getting to a few left.
I think Brandon can maybe squeeze an extra person or two in if we really get down to brass tacks. I bet he can. But also, if you just cannot make it, you can also do a live stream and a on-demand replay of the conference. And you can use the code Upmarket75 for that, and you'll get $75 off that option. And you know, this is a PMRE episode, and we've had this partnership with iGUIDE for all these Road to PMRE episodes, and we are so thankful for that. And so I would hope you check out goiguide.com for all the latest on iGUIDE, because I think there's a big thing happening on the release date of this episode, and we're actually going to chat about it in the ad after the social media sidebar.
Yeah, so they got some fun new things coming out, I think.
Definitely check it out. And so, Mark, I mean, how are we doing? I feel like we're getting into late October, starting to see the slow season kind of coming. Yeah. And we're starting to feel it, right?
Yeah, starting to feel it. Like where we go from like solid every day, and then it's like, oh, we're busy this day, the next day. It's that kind of feels like that up and down slide into the holidays.
And you know, this year, of course, there's the election coming. So after, I'm kind of hoping that the dam breaks. I mean, that's kind of the feeling that everyone has. I mean, and who knows how that's going to go and what things are going to look like afterwards. But, you know, at least hopefully there will be some clarity at some point. I don't know. It may not be the day after the election, but
I don't think it will be. And that's the big one. The other big one up is obviously rates. Rates are coming down, and then they trickled back up again. Agents are hoping they're going to keep on the downslide, and that'll bring buyers back in and keep the market flowing. So, you know, it could be a little volatile here for the next month or so, but hopefully, you know, things will get on a more even keel, and we can, you know, have a really great winter. But Mark, I mean, are you getting excited for Las Vegas? Oh man. Yeah. More so, I'm always excited. But even this year with everything being revamped, it's going to be just that much more new and fresh, and just going to be super cool.
Yeah. And what about our swag? Because are you excited about that? Yeah. So the Upmarket Pod swag, I mean, it's going to be the talk of the conference. I mean, there's no doubt about it in my mind.
Everyone's going to be walking around with them, and it's just going to be forgotten.
Yeah. And so look, and again, if you spot Mark or I, or Nikki, who our photographer, who's going to be there. And I think Bethany Diedrich, our editor, will have some with her too. And I think we'll have a table in the vendor alley. So make sure that you say hi, and you, as a listener, you will get a free piece of amazing swag from Upmarket Pod. So check it out when we're there. And so Mark, I'm excited to just get with everyone back at PMRE and have a good time.
Yeah, we're going for a longer period of time this time. So we're going to put in some quality time with everyone. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. So once you get out of here, and I'm going to go ahead and interview two of the speakers for PMRE.
Right on. Yeah, have a good episode.
All right. And come on, it's a Road to PMRE episode, so you know I got some speakers. I got multiple speakers today on here. So I have Melissa and Gerard Lynch, who are the co-founders of Rise Media in New York. Melissa, Gerard, I know you guys, unlike a lot of people I've had on the podcast, have a giant team. Like if I remember, it was like 30 people or something. So how quickly were you able to grow your business from, because I'm assuming you started with maybe just the two of you, and then now you're at 30 some odd employees. How quickly did that happen?
Well, the story really starts as how we started, right? So in the Hamptons is where we started the business, right?
Okay.
Where Melissa and I reside. And what we ultimately did was bring another business from Australia to the US and adopted their model. We then brought some of their key people over here to train Melissa and train how this would work, because it was quite a large business in Australia. So to answer the question, it probably took about 3 months before we ended up sort of starting to hire and training, individual photographers and videographers and so forth.
3 months. It took forever. Geez. Most of this, it takes like 7 years. Okay. Now I have more questions here, because I know that in Australia, the model of these businesses, of real estate media businesses, is like totally different, because or maybe the model isn't different, but the industry there is completely different, because the agent does not pay for the media, correct?
Correct. It's a seller-paid advertising market, which is very unique, and that's how the business that we brought over here started. Right, it had a contract with a company called McGrath, which is quite a luxury, high-end franchise model across 4 states in Australia. And they're the exclusive provider of photography, media, video, floor plans, copywriting. And how the model worked was a SWAT appointment. You would turn up with 4 individual resources that were skill set in those particular 4 things. They would go to the property, perform those tasks, take those assets away, go to post-production, have them edited, and then send them back to the customer the next day. And yes, you're right, Reed. It's a seller-paid advertising market. So that particular seller would say, hey, here are your 4 options: a $2,500 package, a $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 package. They'd write a check to the broker or the agent, they call it in Australia. Then that agent would spend money like that with us. Maybe $1,000 would come to us, or $1,200 would come to us, some to signboard, some to digital ads, some to flyers and marketing material. And luckily for our ex business partner, that was his biggest customer, and that's how they sort of launched their business and had such a steady business. But yeah, very, very different here. But we certainly adopted a lot of the principles around how to shoot content. We're pretty first to market on video, and that video side of things was digital SLRs, and probably back then, Melissa, you could remind me, the 5D Mark 1, 2, whatever it is, which produced really good content. And fast and quick. So
like there was no video in your market when you started. Is that what you're saying? And when was that you were bringing video on? And I remember I shot video on my Mark II, my 5D Mark II, of course. Yeah.
At the beginning, 2008, we started, Melissa, end of 2008, 9, we started doing photography and video. That was the thing. And that's obviously what catapulted us. We approached the top probably 5 agents in our marketplace. The Hamptons. We gave them free content, and Melissa shot and edited and spent countless nights up till 2 or 3 a.m. learning how the tricks of the trade were. But that's how the business started.
Yeah, I think we adopted some things from the Australian company, but we definitely went about it differently. We were mom and pop, like Jared made the appointments. I went to those appointments. We went into, we met the agents individually. And initially we did start with just video, because no one was doing that at the time. Photography wasn't going to be part of our business model. It was just, we were going to do video for real estate, and that was it. And then once we started talking to the agents, we realized, they needed photos, and what else can we offer them? And that's sort of decided to adopt more of what the Australian company was offering, which was the floor plans and additional other pieces of content. And then, so then we brought in a few other employees. At that time, I was working on a newspaper, and, we had the local photojournalist who we hired. And then we met some other photographers who were were wedding photographers. So these guys were only busy on the weekends. They weren't shooting weddings during the week. So it was like the perfect scenario. We were giving them work during the week, and we didn't really work on weekends, and they were busy on the weekends with their weddings. Sure. So we brought, I feel proud to say, we brought a lot of work to people that weren't doing anything during the middle of the week. And then we grew, a lot of people started to move into photography or producing content, and we trained. But I'd say all in all, we've always had a very strong backbone of how we style and the quality of our content. And that is what has carried us through all these years.
Well, but how were you able to start your business and then 3 months later be having employees? I mean, did you have a bunch of seed money or, like investment, like capital that you had that you could just burn through? Because but at the end of 3 months, what do you have? Like 2 clients, maybe 1 client? And then how are you having employees at that point?
It's a good question. Definitely comes up a lot. No, I guess my background, I've bought and sold about 5 different companies. So Melissa and I personally funded the business. And yes, we gave things away and we had to make, a sizable amount of investment in equipment and so forth. But we got very lucky, Reed, to be honest with you. We did a good job with these top agents. And so as soon as they saw what we did on repeat, they engaged us, right? And they started being paying customers quite quickly. And we ran it lean and mean. As Melissa said, it was myself doing the relationships and setting the appointments and talking to customers, and Melissa producing the content alongside with experienced, filmmaker and photographer from Australia that we flew out here to train Melissa to be able to train the people that we ultimately hired over the next few months. But those customers became paying customers within 3 months. We got lucky. But to burning cash, yes, we certainly burnt through some of our cash from my previous fortunate ventures. But, it did take some time to sort of get where we needed to get.
I would say that we also, we didn't actually have like a ton of money that we threw into it, but we were smart about the business model. From the very beginning, we had a freelancer model. So we didn't have a bunch of full-time employees. We were giving those guys, those wedding photographers, work, but we were only having to pay them for the work that was being done. So it was, it was we were one of the first people to develop that sort of business model. And then actually our post-production companies have adopted that in the last few years. Instead of having full-time employees, they've adopted the model that we have, that a lot of people have now. But in 2008, we were the first people to do that. I think the other thing we forgot to mention was that in 2008, I don't know if you remember what the market was like in the US at that time.
I do.
But the housing market imploded, and I had quit my job working as a journalist for the newspaper because we thought this was going to be like this great, brilliant idea we had. We were going to, be the first to market doing video for real estate. And then the housing market imploded. We were like, what the hell have we done? It was terrifying at that moment. Like Gerard had just sold a business. So yes, we were both pretty much unemployed. Had just had a baby. She was, that was like a lot. We had moved. We were living in Australia at that time. We had moved everything to New York, but we were starting from scratch. Like we didn't have furniture. Like we didn't have things. Like we didn't have a life set up in New York. And we were like, let's just quit our jobs and just try. And we were like, what the hell were we thinking? And eventually it turned out to be the best time to start that business because, people were looking for different ways to market properties. But it couldn't have been a worse time to do it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't, I wasn't in business at that point. I was a little bit later than that, but I've definitely heard, kind of the guy I learned the business from in LA, he was like, oh yeah, my business grew so much in 2008. But what I found was that I was just going to different places. So he's like, I was shooting in Pasadena, but then I had to go, 30 miles out of Pasadena is where all these listings were coming up. And so like, I think with any situation, there's ways to leverage stuff. If the market's bad, then you just figure it out. Well, what's striking me about this story already is that, unlike so many other people, you started, not only did you have that business partner and you were able to learn the business from somebody, but you had the both of you. And I think so many of us are solo shooters who just like, oh yeah, I shot a place and then all of a sudden I had a business because I knew a realtor and I shot at one house. And then I think it becomes, for those solo shooters, it's something we've talked about a lot, is how if your business grows and is successful, it can be hard to scale because you don't have any bandwidth for it, because you are doing the admin, you're doing the shooting, you're doing it back then, doing the editing and delivering, and all the things that we have to do. Where I see such an advantage because in your model of having that, where one of you is out doing the relationships and one of you is shooting, and that's kind of how Mark and I, my business partner, now have it. And the backstory short for you guys, if you don't know, is we were our biggest competitors and we merged our businesses 4 years ago. And so that has really made it so that I'm not shooting anymore. I'm doing more of the relationship side, and Mark is still out shooting, but he's also just kind of heading up operations. And when you have someone like you guys had to pick up the slack, or to know that there's someone else who cares as much about the business working with you, I mean, that's such an advantage to have. And I mean, was that in your mind that or it was like you both at loose ends, so let's just do it together? Or did you see immediately the benefits of that?
Yeah, I think immediately, because Melissa's a creative, right? And I'm a business guy.
Okay.
So we couldn't be far, I wouldn't know how to take a photo. Let's be very clear.
Right.
So we wouldn't be anywhere without her or video, right? Full stop. So yeah, that was obviously the model, right? But I think back to Melissa's point, Reed, is that how real estate was marketed was horrific. It was so bad. It was like photography and video and how they manage it, right? And there's probably another whole slew of things we could go down the path, and that's where we ended up getting into consulting to brokerages on how to run their business better on the content side of things. Because content's generally back then was looked at as like it's just a tool, just a small tool you needed to get the property marketed or sold, right? So yeah, it's that's sort of, I think an important factor is that now more than ever, content's now looked at, or photo, media for real estate is now a significant player in how things are sold and moved, and and that's something that we've finally come to the place that, the agents and brokerages have finally come to the place of how important media companies are within the space, because we're the one that attract you the buyers. We're the one that attract you the attention from the beginning. And a big issue that I still have with the industry, and it's probably a little controversial, is that I'm a big believer of less is more. You know what I mean? I think a lot of I see is that there's so many pieces of, say, photos on a listing. No one's going to look at 76 photos on a listing. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? People include before they exclude before they include, right? And that's having quality images, a clean floor plan, maybe some video content to sort of make the decision to go, okay, I'm going to engage. I'm going to engage with this buyer. With this agent. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's preached enough in our industry. And I think that's something we focused on: quality, higher end, and separating the processing from the capturing, which is what, as Melissa said before, kept us, separate.
Yeah, well, that speaks to me, because the way I'm pitching, and how we framed it here is that, we don't market real estate, we market realtors, right? So you want the property selling doesn't matter. It's, does this realtor get more business? Do they get more listings? Do they get more buyer leads?
Exactly.
And so I do think that, having that quality and having consistency. What we really talk about is just having consistency with the marketing. And that's the way we're trying to approach sales with our existing clients. And then with new clients is like, making sure that they're, even on the crappier houses, that they're doing the same, they're doing the same services, because it's actually about marketing them and not those homes.
It's an audition for the next listing, right? That's all it comes down to. You're only as good as your last marketing piece. And we've got good customers like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So Melissa, are you still out shooting, or do you just kind of hang out in your house in the Hamptons there and just like,
Well, it's funny because today I'm in the Hamptons office. Jared's in the city office, and we it depends on the day. So today I'm managing the process. So we have, our group of network of freelancers, who I manage and keep in touch with all of those people during the day. And certain days I'm out shooting. So I still have clients from 15 years ago that won't work with anybody else. And
I hate those clients.
It's lovely. There definitely was a time where I was very close to burnout, and I took a step away, and I said, I only can work for a certain number of jobs a day or a certain number of jobs per week, because it was a lot. I had shot hundreds and hundreds of properties, and it's people forget how physical the job is. So what that does to your back after like 20 years of lugging equipment around, these houses in the Hamptons are 20,000 square feet on average. So it can be a lot. So yeah, I mean, I've created safe boundaries around like how much I want to shoot. I also do a lot of the directing. We do a lot of video shoots. We do, the property video shoots, but we've been doing a lot more events for our clients too, which has been a really nice way to get in front of a lot of agents. So we'll cover their event for them. We'll see all the agents we work with on the daily basis. And it's just a nice way to get in front of the people we work with in a different way. So if we're doing a video for them, I often show up to a lot of those events. We had one last night for Douglas Elliman, who's one of our biggest clients. And, it was at the Metropolitan Center in Manhattan, and it was everybody from Long Island and the Hamptons and New York City combined. And there were probably, 50% of the agents use us, maybe 50 don't. So it's a good opportunity to get in front of both the ones that use us and the ones that don't. So to answer your question, I do a little bit of everything, depends on the day.
Sure. Hey, and when you're doing those events like that last night, because that seems like a golden opportunity, right? Are you still charging to do the video for that, or you just gift it?
A bit of both, but we charge, but we gift certain things we have great relationships with the marketing managers as well as the agents. So our clients is really twofold. On one side, we have the agent who is a top producer for that company. On the other side, we're really integrated with their marketing departments as well. So anybody that runs the social channel for that, for Douglas Elliman Real Estate would be there. Anybody that runs their marketing, their advertising, they were also there. They trust us because we make them and their job look good. And then, we also the proof is in the pudding when it comes to the agent stuff. Yeah. So we give some things away if we have to, but we'll attend the event. We'll give them a quote for, a certain video for the event. If they say, hey, can you shoot this person saying this certain thing while you're there? We'll shoot it and we'll gift it to them.
Well, I think that's a great point. And my problem is none of my staff want to do those events. And so, because it's, and I certainly don't want to do them. I mean, I can go and hobnob, but I don't want to pick up a camera. But I think that relationship is key. And it's one I don't think we've talked about that much, is the marketing manager, the marketing director for these brokerages. And I think so many of us are used to dealing with just the individual agents, and are not doing those kind of brokerage level meetings or brokerage deals, right? So I think I've always found that when I am at a realtor networking thing or whatever, and then there's this person, I don't even know who they are, and it's the marketing person, they're always like, oh my God, I love you guys, because you just make my job so much easier. And I think you can take that a step further of really networking with them, and I always think of them as allies. And so you want to make sure, sometimes it's not about having a big relationship with the top dog, with the brokerage owner. It can be the people who make suggestions to that brokerage owner, to the marketing people, to the whatever, the coordinators. If you can get the staff of the brokerages on your side and loving you, I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, it certainly does. Yeah, and I understand what you say about not wanting to shoot events. We do have guys that won't do it. We just make sure that the person we're putting on the job wants to be there too. And right. I'll tell you, there are people that 3 or 4 years ago would not have been very comfortable going to those events. And now they are, because it's just a relationship thing, really.
Yeah. That makes me tired. So let's take a break. And then we'll talk social media, and then we're going to come back. And I want to hear about, because I'm pretty excited for your presentation to PMRE. So I want to hear all about that and what you're going to be talking about. And then, man, you seem people of action. So I know you're going to have some amazing action items at the end of the show here. So stick around. We'll just take a quick break. We'll be right back and talk some social media. Also, Mark, you stuck around a little bit just to do these ads, but you know what? So we were just talking about PMRE in the intro, and well, it's the theme of the episode. And you know, also one of the big sponsors, one of the premier, I don't know what are they called, but one of the biggest sponsors of PMRE is Aereo.
They're a headliner. They're up there. Yeah.
It's Synergy. They sponsor our podcast. We're the official podcast of PMRE. They're one of the big sponsors. I mean,
what a great happy family.
It seems incestuous.
Yeah,
a little bit, but but you know what? It's still fun though.
Incest can be fun sometimes, right?
And we and then Matt Mikulski is going to get up from Aereo, is going to get up on stage and give the state of the industry at PMRE. And what a great person to do that, because as a big part of Aereo, he has his finger on the pulse of what's happening in this industry because of users like us and the feedback that we give and the trends that they can see in the data. Because Aereo is a great repository for all of the stuff we do in this industry. So we schedule, we bill, we deliver, we make websites, it connects with QuickBooks, it does whatever. Yeah. There's so many things that it does efficiently, helps us grow our business and remain efficient, and it's a service to our clients. I would highly recommend everyone check out Aereo. It's aereo.com. Use the code Upmarket, and if you're a new user, you're going to get 15 free bonus listings. Mark, I'm wondering if I've run the table on floor plan jokes.
You got to dig deep into the well. There must be some left in there.
Speaking of wells, have you ever seen a floor plan of a well?
Ooh.
If I was going to make a floor plan of a well, I would use Second Floor app, because Second Floor app is one of the quickest, easiest ways that you can make a floor plan right from your phone. You're going to walk through that house, scan for 5 minutes. Is it going to take you? I don't know. Boom, instantly. You get a floor plan.
Yeah. I mean, you see it being created before you. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's just, what a spectacle. What a sight. The Second Floor app, floor plans being generated, and then you can generate that like magic and then magically send it to your client. I mean, so it's accurate, it's instant, it's all the stuff you want in a floor plan maker. It's an independent company that has your back. It's also, it's an independent real estate media company owner is doing this on the side. So you know that they are on the side of real estate media providers.
Yeah. I mean, super affordable too, right?
Yeah.
Let's not forget about that.
Well, and it's super affordable because look, if you go to secondfloorapp.com /upmarket, all spelled out, you're going to get a free month of service. What's more? I mean, free is the most affordable option.
That is good.
Yeah. So it really is good. So secondfloorapp.com /upmarket. All right, let's do a social media sidebar. So we are Upmarket Pod across all social media, and please get in there. You want to, and I know you guys both, you want to make sure that you're subscribed to Upmarket Pod. You want to make sure you've rated it 5 stars. And honestly, if you want to leave a nice 5-star review, you can do that too. It really helps us out. Please, everyone, subscribe. Hit us up on Upmarket Pod on social media. And so, Melissa, Gerard, where can we find you all?
Yeah, our handle on Instagram is Rise Media US. So you can find us at Rise Media US. And we have TikTok as well. You can find us under the same name.
Congratulations. All right. So how, it's kind of the question I ask everyone, like how much business is social media driving for you? And do you have like a strategy for it that is, relatable that you could tell us?
So social media is so interesting. I think we've tried a lot of things. I think we were one of the very first people to be utilizing it very early on, using Instagram. It's changed our industry, obviously. We started way before Instagram began. So trying to figure out, how do we now, show our work? Well, for us, there's a few things. One, many of the people we shoot for, we're not allowed to share it. So that has also been like, we have also had those relationships for so long that we're like a in their back pocket kind of thing, and they don't share us either. So we had to be, we have to be okay with that, and that's fine. But our social media strategy has changed probably over the last 4 or 5 years. We've tried a couple of different things, and I think what works is focusing more on who we are and the types of things we're doing, rather than showcasing the homes that we've shot, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
One, because we can't show the best stuff anyway. So, but on the flip side of that, I think it's important for the voice to have for the brand to have a voice. And we weren't doing that for so long. We were using it as just our Instagram specifically was just a collection of our best photos that we were allowed to share.
Yeah.
And it became
as
like,
most people,
how is that? Yeah. And how is that different from what we have already on our website? It's really not. It's just easier to update, maybe. It's faster to update. It's a different person updating it than a web designer.
Yeah. Well, it's more shareable. Obviously, but yeah, it's the same content, right?
Right. So we've shifted it a little bit. And now we are finding a new wave of agents that do want to share. And there are people that want to share and want us to share their work and tag us and repost. And so we have to cater to those people as well. But we definitely have a pocket of people that we cannot talk about or share or show. So
can you share with us who those are?
Yeah, of course. This isn't going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Between us.
Okay, so you're doing like a more BTS stuff then on your Instagram.
Yes, and like we talked about events before, we're doing a lot of event coverage stuff on our social channels too.
Yeah, and then you are putting those other houses on there too, because you also want to make sure that people know what it is that you do. What that final product looks like. You're like, hey, yeah, we look all cute doing it, but here's what we actually produce too.
Yeah, if we're allowed, we do it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. That's great. So I'll check them out on Instagram. I'm going to. I haven't actually. I've had a lot going on this week, so I haven't actually researched you guys enough. But I'm going to check it out. I'll follow. Upmarket Pod will give you a follow. And then so we're going to take another quick break, and then we're going to come back and let's talk some PMRE stuff, and we're going to end this thing with the action items. I'm here with Skylar Lawrence LaBelle, the VP of Marketing for iGUIDE. And Skylar, I'm excited. You got a big product announcement. Hit us with it.
So am I, Reed. We are launching the new Planix camera system, the new flagship, the Planix R1 has launched. Yeah, it's very exciting.
So what's the difference? Lay it on me. Give it to me short, though.
All right. So it's rugged. It's built, designed to be rugged. So durability from inception. Second is it's blazing fast. 3 times faster than anything on the market. I know previous camera, you were in and out of a 3,000 square foot home in about 15 minutes. The R1, you're in and out in about 10 minutes. So this thing's moving about as quick as you can walk through a home. You're able to capture and get the tour back to you. But yeah, it's lightning fast. And obviously iGUIDE, we're known for our precise and accurate floor plans. It continues to deliver on that. So you're getting the exact same accuracy that you had with our previous camera system. But really, speed, durability are the main 2. And for the gearheads out there, I can highlight megapixels have increased. So the previous was 26. We've gone up to 60. The tours will be a bit more natural, higher resolution in terms of the tours and the viewer.
Well, as a gearhead, I like the sound of that. So, and when is this camera available?
So it's available today as of October 29th. So it's the official launch day of the camera. So if you go to store.go iGUIDE, you will find it there.
All right. So go to goiguide.com and check out their whole system if you're not an iGUIDE user. And of course, that camera, just go where Skylar just said, and I'm sure it's going to be plastered all over the Go iGUIDE site as well. Yeah, Skylar, thank you. We're hanging in Las Vegas really soon.
See you at PMRE.
All right. So let's chat a little more with Melissa and Gerard Lynch. So Gerard, I in the beginning I called you Gerard, and then Melissa's like dropping your name, and it's Gerard. So apparently the Australian pronunciation or the pronunciation of your mom is Gerard, even though it's spelled Gerard. So you're going to be at PMRE. You're coming out to Las Vegas. You're going to do like an hour-long presentation, and it's called "How to Be a Magnet for Success." Well, tell me, can you just give a little preview? Like how do you do it?
Oh, look, I think the core of the discussion that we're going to have is just sort of our story, right? How we did it and why we did it. And I guess one of the things that, that probably resonate to sort of why we're probably talking about this is that, our partners, we do a lot of business with a company called eSoft, which is a sponsor. Oh, yeah. The founder of that company is a good friend of mine, and we always had many discussion over the last 10 years of how you built a business in New York. Is probably one of the toughest places in the country to sort of build a successful media business. And I'm sort of going to talk through the journey of how that worked. And one of it being is we started in the Hamptons, as Melissa said. We leveraged those relationships to meeting all the right people in New York City. And then that's how the business catapulted into here. And spent a lot of time, with the brokerage, facilitators, you know what I mean? I don't want to say owners, but, the CMOs and yes, some CEOs, but it's just how, and core focusing, I was more of a consulting relationship of how can I help their business? Yes, media is a tool that we use to sort of do and make money, but how do we help their business run smoother and better on this media part of the world? So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, how we brought this Australian company here and how that affected us, what we learned, what didn't work, what did work, the post-production side of things. Mm-hmm. I guess an interesting part, we used to send our images back to Australia and pay $25 an image to be edited on every single image.
25 US dollars?
That's pretty Aussie. Yeah, a lot of money. So what ended up back then, we ended up flying 3 retouchers to Vietnam for 2 months to teach eSoft how to edit images. And that was a process, and many late night phone calls and many conversations with getting it to the quality and the level of what we needed, how we need to do. We started at the beginning of separating the processing from the capturing. That was the fundamental of our business. And that played a big part. And then Melissa's going to talk about what she's going to talk about.
I get to talk about mindfulness, and I have some tools, some tricks and tools for anybody in the audience, like learning how, like I said, the name of our segment is Becoming a Magnet for Success. And I think that there are some real key takeaways from our presentation. So I tried to dissect what made us successful. I think Gerard also mentioned in a few ways that there were failures, of course, with every business. There are things that worked, and of course there are things that didn't work as well. So I broke it apart. I have some stats, some information I think will be really helpful for anybody looking to scale and grow their business. Some suggestions and ways to do that. And on top of that, I feel like the industry has become a little bit like oversaturated with so much content. So it's sort of figuring out what's your story, how to stick to your story. I'm going to be doing like a little bit of like mentorship, I'd say, with my presentation to let people know to keep going and what to focus on and where to put their attention.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so it's kind of how, I think that fits from what I can tell, your personality is to a T. And so I did want to, Gerard, kind of ask you about, you have this business background. Obviously you sold all these businesses and you don't know anything about photography. So I'm wondering, when you are approaching, like you're saying, when you're doing that networking with the CEOs, the CMOs, all those people, I mean, I feel like you're at an advantage because you know the language. I mean, the language of business, where I think so many of us on the creative side don't really know about that. And like, how much of that business hat were you putting forward, or were you still coming in as saying, oh, we're the creative team, or were you really leaning into the business side?
Look, I certainly leaned into the business side, right? And I think part of what I was trying to say is that we would spend a lot of time trying to solve problems, and ask the question of like, okay, so we do these beautiful pieces of photos and videos and floor plans. Okay, then how are we receiving the order? How is it getting to your listing system, your business system, or MLS, or in our markets, it's very different. They're private. There's no MLSs here.
Okay.
Right? So that's quite unique. So the whole workflow to make it seamless. You get an order, how the money flows, they click approve, it automatically goes where it needs to go, and nothing else has to be done. Then that opened up a lot of other content delivery network conversations, business ordering systems, vendor management conversations, and sort of taking advantage of what I learned in the Australian market, and adopting it here. And then being a facilitator and have an understanding how our media works and flows, that's what ultimately happened. And that opened up the conversation to help these companies do smarter business, better business. And in return, our content side of the business got more business, and that's, I think it was a key thing for, as much as I probably spent a lot more time on it, as Melissa may say, but but it helped, in many ways.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's a good pitch, right? You're not only are we going to provide you with top-notch content that you're going to be used to get more clients, but we're also going to make your systems, operations, everything about it much more efficient. So, it's
Correct.
that twofold approach where, working with you is going to transform their business in many different ways and make their lives better and easier. So, I mean, making lives better, I mean, that's always a good pitch.
Yeah, and it's being an open door, right? And a lot of these people in place of management, you got to understand what their position is. Like, I'm a CMO of a company, or I'm a marketing director. Like, understanding what their business role, like what their role in the business is. Yes, it's providing marketing support and content to their agent base, but it's also how to do it better, how to make it more intelligent, how to spend money more wiser. Like, and you've got those principles aligned, and you're trying to help them do it. Ultimately, they would call me and have conversations with me, or should we do this? Should we do that? And just being at the table, yes, I'm not getting paid for my consultative services, but in turn, that was like a lead gen for us to get content business.
Well, and then would you bring in Melissa to kind of to be the creative buffer? I mean, to have that someone who's like going to be able to talk that language?
100%. Yeah. Soon as that was teed up into a bigger project, like we've done quite large projects as well, like not just shooting listing, right? So yeah, that's not my cup of tea at all. That's Melissa.
Yeah, and our teams, we have teams that our team is varied in their skill set too. So they assist on the creative side of things when we're going in for pitches. But again, the approach is twofold. It's on one side, we have the agents on a very, very basic level, from our photographers and myself on the ground, and seeing those agents on listings when we're shooting them. But it's the relationship with the marketing departments and integrations that we made that really have solidified the business for us. Jared is a consultant, like whether he's not being paid to do it, but they are calling him and asking advice here, there, and everywhere on things that they can do online, offline, on a given day. So I think on this creative side, yes, but also you're right on the business side of things. I think they lean into that in many ways as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think so often, and again, we're just most of us in this industry are coming at it from the creative side. And so for me, I'm a little, uncomfortable with that, with the business language and talk, even though of course I have a podcast that's about business, but that doesn't mean I know the jargon or have gone to business school or or honestly know anything about anything. So, but that's why I have a podcast, right? Because if you don't know anything, you should have a podcast, because that's feels like it's most people. But I've always leaned into the creative, but then you end up having to talk about how this is going to, you do have to bring in the business side of it, and so it is a tricky balance to have, and again, which is why that partnership that you both have seems like a really smart thing.
Yeah, Marie, I made it a very clear thing from the beginning to be non-negotiable on not networking and creating relationships. Creating relationships and maintaining those relationships is a significant part of how we built our business. We wouldn't have done it otherwise, to be honest. That's how it all starts, right? Because then people trust you and help you and advise you and refer you, and being that sort of consultant sounding board has played tenfold to us, which has been handy.
Well, and what I've always thought is that building relationships takes action. And so that really means it's time for our action items. And today, as always, our action items are sponsored by Pixel CRM. Unlock the full potential of your real estate media business with Pixel CRM, the all-in-one CRM and marketing platform built by a real estate media professional for real estate media professionals. Pixel CRM is designed to help you attract and retain clients through marketing systems and automation. If you go to pixelcrm.com/upmarket, you can get a 30-day risk-free trial. And that's Pixel CRM, pixelcrm.com/upmarket. Hey man, we love Pixel CRM. We've been using it and we've been growing our business and making it more efficient. So I highly recommend that you go check out Pixel CRM. And I'm going to go first because I know yours. Oh no, yours aren't better. I have a good one this week. I always have to come up with action items, so I'm always like, sometimes I feel like I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. But I do. But one came to me during this episode, and so my action item this week is to reach out to someone in the marketing department of one of the brokerages that you service, and if you don't know them, it's a great opportunity to get to know them. If you do know them, it's a great opportunity to check in. But maybe ask one simple question of them is like, is there anything that we can do that would help you in your job, that would make your life easier? Just have a check-in with the marketing people. And I think they're going to have an appreciation that you even know they exist, and appreciation that you want to help them do their job better. So that's my action item.
I like your action item, Reed. I think that's something that we do often is to check in with the marketing department. So I guess then I'll go the other way, which is action item would be to pick one of the brokerages that you work for, but contact them on an agent level. So I would say identify the top producer in one of your clients' companies. Mm-hmm. And reach out to them and see what you can do to help them. And if there is, maybe there's a product that you haven't done for them yet, mm-hmm. that you could provide or do even for free, right, in order to try and get them to use that product more often. So, for example, virtual staging. Maybe it's a top producer, mm-hmm. in one of those companies that has never used you before. Offer them a free virtual staging, offer them a free photo shoot. And hopefully there'll be a return on that investment.
Mm-hmm. All right. Love it.
I guess my action item would be to go into an office that you do business with and make sure you have a great relationship with the admin of that office.
There we go. Well, all ours are very similar here today. That's good. It's good.
Very simple. Create a relationship, take them for a coffee. What can we do differently? How can we help you do your job easier? And you'd be surprised what you learn from those individuals. They're a very helpful sort of bit of knowledge you can have to sort of help you get some more business or learn things you don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think anyone who's going to see your presentation at PMRE is going to learn things they don't know. And so, hey, look, there is still time. As we said at the beginning, there's still time. You can still go. You can still be in person in Las Vegas. Use the code Upmarket100. You're going to get $100 off your registration. And look, if last minute travel is too rich for your blood, you can also live stream the event and you can have it on demand playback at any time. Use the code Upmarket75 for that. You can get $75 off. And what a deal. And I think it's probably your registration is going to be worth it just for this presentation alone. And then, of course, all the networking that you get to do while you're in Las Vegas. And Melissa, Gerard, thank you so much for being on today. And I'm looking forward to hanging out in Las Vegas. And of course, thank you to our listeners. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Upmarket is a production of Upmarket Studios. This episode was produced by Chelsea Froelich and edited by Bethany Diedrich. Thank you so much for listening, and we really hope you listen to the next one too. In the meantime, our wish for you is to not have to shoot any Friday night Twilight shoots. Thank you for everything.